are going to get started. Wanted to welcome everyone to our first post-summer webinar. Thank you for being here. Just want to point out right at the top that closed captioning is available through the Zoom application, so please utilize that if you'd like. For those that I don't know, I see lots of friendly faces here, lots of our trustees in the attendees. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Adam Pearl. I'm president and CEO of ArtPride New Jersey. I am a white male in my mid 40s, short brown hair. Today I'm wearing a white shirt with kind of like a blue checked pattern on it. I'm here in my Bridgewater home office. Wanted to point out here that we are recording. We always record these webinars. We will post these on YouTube. So if you miss something, you want to go back, or if you want to share this with a colleague or friend, please do so. You can always find our YouTube page from the link on our homepage at artpridenj.org. Also want to encourage folks to use both the Q&A and the chat features in the Zoom link. We'll be using them. We'll drop some links, some web links in the chat over the course of this morning. And as questions come along, please post them in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring that and asking our speakers as we go, as we see questions arise. So let's get started. We're going to go to the second slide here, give you an idea of what we'll be covering today, because it's a lot of different things. We have some updates as far as advocacy work, both at the federal and gubernatorial state level. We have an update from our friends at ArtPride some information about some of our election season activities, and then updates from our programs and services side, Discover Jersey Arts and Audience Insight Management. But before we get to all that, we want to celebrate one of ArtPride's finest. We are actually celebrating this month 25 years with having Jim Atkinson, our Director of Programs and Services, on staff. Jim, I don't know if you want to come on and give a virtual bow or wave. No pressure. I just want to say here he comes. We're going to be celebrating Jim all month and frankly, a little bit all year as well. But just wanted to, at the beginning of this, September does mark 25 years with Jim for the organization. Jim is responsible for so many things with the organization, not only shepherding Discover Jersey Arts over to our organization, but so many of the programs that we're going to be talking about today, from audience insight management to the outward audience development marketing campaigns to the Thrive Arts Conference. I could go on, and we will celebrate many of Jim's accomplishments. But for starters, we just wanted to say thank you. Take this opportunity, this public opportunity, to congratulate Jim on an amazing 25 years, incredible loyalty, not just to ArtPride, but to the entire arts sector across the state. So thank you, Jim. And now I'm going to be passing it along to my colleague, Vince Hall, our Director of Advocacy Operations, for our first item on the agenda.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm here to give you the federal update on arts, culture, and a little bit on education. So let's get started. Sorry. So Congress has until October 1st to start the fiscal year, Congress has until October 1st, the start of the new fiscal year, to pass FY 2026 spending bills or enact a small measure to keep the government open or at risk of shutdown. Both of the chambers of Congress, however, remain far apart on negotiations over federal spending, with the House advocating for deep cuts and the Senate advancing bills that provide only modest funding increases. For the NEA and NEH, the House proposes a cut to $135 million of the versus the $207 million, while the Senate maintains level funding at $207 million. And a House floor vote is to defund or cut further is possible this September. For the IMLS, the Senate bill includes a modest $3 million cut to the museum program from $295 million to $292 million. And arts education, the Senate maintains level funding under the Every Student Succeeds Act, but the House is expected to propose major education cuts next month. So now is the time to take action. We want you to urge your Congresspeople to support the $207 million, to reject proposals to eliminate or slash federal funding and to protect dozens of arts organizations funded by NEA and NEA's grants across New Jersey. So sorry. So Jim's going to put the link in the chat for you to participate in the action alert. And with this, I'm going to pass it on to Wendy Liskow, the executive director of Arts Ed New Jersey, to give us more information on arts education.
Thank you, Vince. This slide is just quickly to let you know that Arts Ed New Jersey mission is to advocate for every child, every day, every year to receive the arts education they are promised. So I sort of see ourselves as a sister organization to ArtPride with the focus on education. So thank y'all for letting me report out. Next slide, please. There's a lot of information on this slide, and as Vince indicated, there was a little hope. You see that the funding for FY25 was approved. That's this school year. The Trump budget sort of has severe cuts to education that would ultimately have an impact on arts education. And July 31st, right before the recess, there was some hope when the Senate came out with Senate Appropriations Committee came out with some really excellent, maintaining the level of funding. But just Tuesday, the House Appropriations Committee has proposed some cuts to Title I, zeroing out Title II, and the good news, though, is that the IDEA, which is for students with disabilities in Title I, stays pretty much the same. But we are seeing cuts that were going to impact teacher education, professional development. And next slide, please. I think that there is some real uncertainty for the future of education and thus on arts education. We're looking at 15% reduced education funding. There is some things that we were worried about before, we're less worried about because both the Senate and the House looks like the Department of Ed won't be dismantled fully. There will be some severe cuts. The Office for Civil Rights will be decreased, but not totally eliminated or weakened. And there was a lot of conversation of taking all the different title grants and combining them into one block grant, and that is less likely if we're reading the current tea leaves. But we are still keeping a watch on. There is still a very active Dear Colleague letter that is reducing support for multilingual learners. Title IX and LGBTQ students are really under threat in our schools, and there has been a chilling effect of the new immigration policies in our schools. So we are watching all of these things. I'd say superintendents are on pins and needles, because most of these cuts obviously are going to impact next school year. The one thing that the House does is that they are looking at rescinding some money that schools, $1 billion that schools were supposed to receive on October 1st. Next slide. So that's the feds, but there are some things you might want to be keeping your eye on this year. We certainly are. The standards for visual arts and many of the subject matters are being hastily revised over the summer. It took us almost 3.5 years to get the 2020 standards. We are doing them and trying to get them approved in less than 4 months. So the good news is they won't change much in that time frame. The other things that you might be finding with schools that I think are throwing people off is that there are new tests that are being proposed. The tests themselves, they're adaptive tests, so that if you miss a question, it adapts it and doesn't give you the same hard questions. It really tries to assess where you are in your learning. The problem is that they've announced them just 2 weeks ago that they need to be implemented some field tests in October, November. This is going to disrupt learning time, we expect. And usually when that learning time is impacted, it does impact arts ed classrooms. And so we ask you to really watch for that in your schools. If you have any children in schools, please keep an eye on that. And I just wanted to let you know, we'll be talking a lot about this at Arts Ed New Jersey, but we do have a new census coming out that will be an intensive every 5 years. We do this. We'll be launching it in December, and we are working on a new guide for IEP students and parents to understand the rights of their students. So that's what's happening in the education world. We ask you, next slide, please, to, if you can, we'll put in the chat, we have a major toolkit to help parents, families, anybody who cares about the next generation of artists, how they can be working on advocacy in their schools as we get started. A lot of positions have yet to be filled, and to make sure they get filled, etc. And also to contact your legislators about this FY26 budget. Just keep sending and pounding them and calling them, and it's a great link. So thank you all for the time, and I'm excited to learn about the rest of the work happening at ArtPride.
Vince, you're muted.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't see any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. So if you have any questions for Wendy, just make sure to drop them. She'll be on for a little while. So just make sure if you have anything, just let her know. And to keep moving on, I'm going to give a little update on the gubernatorial and state assembly candidate surveys. So as a part of our commitment to informing voters and fostering dialogue on the role of arts and culture in our communities, ArtPride New Jersey is conducting 2 candidate surveys for the gubernatorial and state assembly elections. And these brief questionnaires are designed to provide voters with an opportunity to know what the candidates' perspectives are on the arts, culture, and creative industries, and which contribute to the quality of life, economic vitality, and education throughout the state before folks vote. The results of this survey are going to be on our website by October 1st, but I wanted to give Adam a moment to give a little bit more context on the candidate survey.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, we're really hopeful that we'll get a good response. We typically do get a decent response from the assembly candidates. We're really hopeful we'll get both of the gubernatorial candidates to respond as well. If and when that happens, we will make sure that we inform everyone who's on our list so they can see that. But we'll also be communicating that via email and through our action alerts and such. I wanted just to be also to add for our members, because I know this is a question that has come from a few of our members. We are in the process of scheduling or have scheduled meetings with both candidates. We're really hopeful both of those will happen this month. It's looking that way. We have one candidate scheduled. We're working towards the other one. Those will be, short, brief, small group meetings. One of them is actually just one-on-one with me and the candidate. These are really just inroads for us to be able to talk to the candidates, to hopefully get them to fill out these surveys so that we can share their perspective on the arts in New Jersey with the field at large, and to make sure that we maintain, because we do have relationships with both candidates, but that we maintain those relationships so that whomever wins, we can be part of the very important transition process, and of course the administration as well. So I just wanted to put that out there so that folks who are on this call, on this webinar, and those that might hear otherwise know that we are on top of it. And I'm happy and available to give more details. I know we have a lot of information today, so I just wanted to touch on it.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Vanessa Ramallo, Director of External Relations, to give us an update on election and voter registration.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Vince. It's Vanessa here speaking. I'm a light-skinned mixed-race woman with long, dark braids and a black top. And as Vince said, I'm going to talk a little bit about the election coming up, as well as voter registration. You can move to the next slide, please. So as we're gearing up to a really important election season, we not only want to stress the importance of just continued and, our usual fierce advocacy, but also to just situate our advocacy within a larger spectrum of civic engagement. So, when you take action through things like ArtPride's action alerts, when you send emails and take meetings with legislators, when you show up at our advocacy events, when you do local organizing in the community work that you do, all of that is really vital work that helps to keep our advocacy strong. And it makes such a huge difference in terms of influencing the policies that make our collective work possible. But that kind of advocacy is really just one part of a larger continuum of civic engagement. And working to foster that increased civic engagement, not just in ourselves, but also in our communities, our wider networks, facilitates those advocacy wins from all levels. So we, really thinking about how to understand the ways that we can cultivate and grow civic engagement and in every aspect of our work and our personal lives can really help us to identify those small daily fractals that ultimately are going to add up to some really big change. And you can move on to the next slide. And so, think about the ways that civic engagement does or can show up in the aspects of the work that you do, whether it be internships, research, fundraising, volunteerism, of course, advocacy. This is really just the tip of the iceberg, and these are, just some examples of the ways that civic engagement shows up in our world. And, so how do we collectively remember that, when it comes to time to act, it's not just about doing so during election season, or even when it's time to battle destructive policies, but how does that show up every day? And you can go to the next slide, please. Voter registration and voter engagement is, of course, a really, really important aspect of civic engagement because it directly impacts, who are the folks who are at the tables making the decisions and passing the laws and policies that are impacting our communities. And as arts organizations, we are also community members. We are leaders. We are collaborators in our communities. So arts organizations can play a really important role in cultivating that civic participation that shapes our public policies. Can move to the next slide, please. So think about your role, the role that your organization plays in your community. So many of our communities are trusted already because of the work that you all do on the ground. The community listens to you. More registered voters in our communities means a stronger community voice, and especially the voices of those who are very often underrepresented in the electoral process. We can be the bridge to close those equity gaps. And as we all know, the arts intersects with pretty much every other policy issue that impacts our communities. And so our missions are inextricably connected to civic participation. So supporting voter registration and engagement also supports us in building even stronger connections to our communities. Because we're in doing that work, we're helping to empower those folks in our communities to see themselves as leaders and to actually believe their voices matter and can make a difference. We can be, the ones to help our communities to push through, that growing apathy and indifference that I know so many of us, are seeing more and more these days. And really just better, help our communities understand how public policies and the long-term advocacy efforts that we hope they'll engage in are going to affect them and ultimately improve their lives in our communities. So the role that we can play in this is, it can't be downplayed. And so we just want to urge all of our members to consider what are some small, small or big things you can do to encourage voter registration in your communities and participation in the elections coming up. And you can move to the next slide. So these are some important dates that we just wanted to highlight for you. Some things are coming up quite soon. In addition to the gubernatorial election, the entire assembly is up for re-election. Oftentimes, it's big federal elections, presidential elections that are more top of mind for people. But our state government has even more direct impact on our daily lives. So much of the advocacy work that we do to ensure that our state arts budget is strong is all happening at that state level. And so, that really makes this upcoming gubernatorial election and the assembly elections even more important this year, given all of the challenges that are happening at the federal level. So keep these dates in mind, add them to your calendars, and we're going to be sending resources with, reminders about some of these dates coming up. And you can move to the next slide. We're also working to compile some resources to support organizations to, do some work in terms of voter registration, voter engagement. We'll be updating our website over the next week or so with more information about National Voter Registration Day. There'll be some downloadable resources available, such as, there's a voter registration guide that I put here by Nonprofit Vote, as well as other organizations who really lead and specialize in the work of civic engagement. I also wanted to note that there's really amazing organizations doing voter engagement work that is culturally specific. So whether it be in terms of race, ethnic, or cultural background, or organizations that target young people and new voters, there's so many resources out there to, help really tailor those messages and make sure that we are also being culturally specific and culturally aware as we're engaging in that work. Just two that I've recently found out about: AAPI New Jersey, which focuses on Asian and Pacific Islander voter engagement, as well as the New Jersey Black Empowerment Coalition. And again, there's so many more resources that can speak to some specific audiences and have some really great content that you can, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And of course, be sure to check back for the candidate survey that Vince mentioned. Those results, sharing those results with your communities can, just help them be more informed about the candidates. And yep. And we'd be remiss to talk about the importance of advocacy without also celebrating the advocacy wins. So we are so thrilled to share that the liquor license bill, S3944, A5125. This is a bill that was sponsored by Senator Sarlo and Gopal, as well as Assemblyman Calabrese and Assemblywoman Carter. This is a bill, it was just signed into law by Governor Murphy about 2 weeks ago. It's really an amazing outcome that's, the result of many years of consistent advocacy, including some, fails, some concerns that it wasn't going to get passed. But with the support of so many of, our members of the arts community and our bill was finally signed into law. And so this bill is allowing for municipalities to issue liquor licenses to smaller size nonprofit community theaters. And community theaters is part of the terminology in this bill to be able to sell alcoholic beverages before, during, and after performances. So there's some, specific definitions around what a community theater is. So, talking about venues that show performances, motion pictures, musical concerts, theatrical plays, dance recitals, literature readings, and many other artistic and other cultural exhibitions and performances. And again, this is venues that are registered as nonprofit organizations. You can move on to the next slide, please. And so here's, just a little bit more detail around, what the license can be used for. And then we also put here, some specifics around the seating capacity of the venues, just so you can get an idea of the size of the venues that we're talking about. So we're talking about very small venues that, really can benefit from having a liquor license. And, there's been so many organizations that really, struggled, and even organizations that closed down because they did not have the benefit of being able to sell liquor at performances. We are going to be working with members of our government strategy committee to put out a press release. We'll have more details available about the bill, as the weeks go on. And of course, there's going to be some, questions around implementation, around guidance, around how to do this right and to do it well. So we really urge you to, stay in touch with us as we learn more. We'll share more information, with our community, and hopefully be able to provide some additional resources on how to take advantage of this bill. Adam, do you want to add anything?
I just wanted to say thank you, in particular to Sarah Scully, who is an ArtPride New Jersey trustee and who has been leading the advocacy effort on this for many years. And I just wanted to say a public thank you to her, to everyone that worked on this. This is a huge win, and it's exciting that we're now moving from the idea stage, from the legislative stage, to the idea, to the implementation stage. Hold on. Sarah has her hand up. I know we're going off script. I'm going to allow Sarah, you could talk now.
Hi. Thank you for the thank you, and to everyone amongst the membership who supported this bill along the way of the many years we were advocating for it. I wanted to point out that the bill allows not only nonprofit community theaters, but for-profit community theaters to get the license under certain conditions, which is really groundbreaking, because heretofore nonprofit theaters of certain sizes had the ability to get a license. It also allows small nonprofit movie theaters to get a license, which is pretty amazing, and for-profit movie theaters. I believe it's with up to 5 screens. So we're hoping that this is really going to help those small theaters, you know, your independent movie theaters in your community, be able to have a lifeline and keep offering the wonderful films that they do.
Thanks, Sarah. And because this has been such a back and forth, for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure it's the cap was at 3 screens. But this is part of what we're, what we want to make sure is clear to everyone. And we're already talking internally about how we maybe do a separate webinar just on this, bring some, some of the legal experts into this conversation so we can make sure we give clear guidance. But a win nonetheless. Very exciting opportunities ahead.
Yeah, wonderful. And thank you, ArtPride, all of you, for following up on this and getting all those details hammered out. And thank you in advance for considering doing the webinar for the community so folks can avail themselves of it.
Yeah, of course, Sarah. I'm just going to move on here to there's a question here in the chat, Vanessa, which was just the number of the liquor of the bill. We can put a link to the actual bill language in the chat, and we'll do that after Vanessa and I get off screen and pass the proverbial baton on. Vanessa, I didn't know if you have more. I'll get out of the way.
Nope, that's pretty much it. Just everyone, if you want to do a little happy dance in your chair, super important to celebrate these wins, because these wins are so hard fought and everyone in our community works so hard. And so, yeah, we just love to see when things like this happen, and we can't wait to learn more. Okay, you can move on to the next slide. And, just in the vein of, continuing that work, just want to highlight that we do have several action alerts that are live on the website. In addition to the federal level action alerts, we do also have these two. The state budget was for the arts was just passed at level funding for $31.9 million. So always great, to, again, in the vein of, celebrating wins. It's always great to see that, our funding for the arts remains stable. Send a thank you to the legislators, that support, that made that happen. And then also we are picking up work again on the live theater tax credit bill. So for those of you who've heard of this, this is, just incentivizing commercial producers to bring, high caliber stage productions to New Jersey. You can learn more about it in the action alert. If there's any questions, you can also reach out to me directly, but we are building up steam for this again and would love to make sure that there is grassroots support. So email your legislators and let them know that you support this bill. And then you can move on to the next slide. And as usual, Vince and I are here for you. We have office hours on Wednesdays if you want to schedule some time with us to talk about anything that might be on your mind, advocacy related or otherwise. But you can always feel free to shoot us a line directly through email or give us a call. We love hearing from you. We love connecting with you. We appreciate all that you do to help make our advocacy what it is. And yeah, that's about it for me. I will pass it off to Isaac.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaac Serna Diaz. I am a 27-year-old Hispanic male with dark, curly brown hair. I'm currently wearing a button-up shirt that is sort of like fall themed, I guess. And I am the digital content manager for ArtPride New Jersey. And so what that means is I am in charge of everything Discover Jersey Arts. And on Discover Jersey Arts, we just launched the fall guide this week. So if you are unaware of what our messaging campaigns are, what our guides are, they're basically just large selections of events happening around the state. And these are jam events. So these are events from organizations from all of you. These events are curated and combined and put onto our Discover Jersey Arts website, where all of the consumers can come and look at what's going on around the state. This fall guide, we've got over 150 events, so thank you all. And don't worry, if you were not a part of the fall guide, then the holiday guide, as you can see, will launch November 24th when the fall guide ends. And the fall guide isn't necessarily themed around anything. It's just, events happening in the fall. However, the holiday guide will be themed around holidays. So Vince, if you could go on to the next slide. It will be based around holidays from November 24th to January 5th. So you got Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, the winter solstice, and New Year's. So if you have events, if your arts organization is hosting events surrounding any of these holidays, please, please, please submit them to us, because we would love to include them in our guide. And you can easily do that by accessing your My ArtPride portal. There is a button, there are several buttons where you can just click submit a campaign event, and the form will be right there. If for whatever reason we don't include you in the fall guide or the winter holidays guide, you can always still get your event up on the website by submitting a discount. And you can submit a discount, I believe, through the My ArtPride portal as well. And also, in line with these campaigns, we want to do our feature stories surrounding events that are happening within the campaigns, right? So if you have an event like that, please submit those events to us as a pitch, as a story pitch. You can do that not through the My ArtPride portal, but you can do that through a form that exists on the ArtPride website, and we will send a link in the chat right now. And you can also pitch these stories to me via email. Okay, I can't promise that I will respond to all of them or include all of them, but I am definitely looking. Okay, don't worry about that. And I believe that's it for me. Just an update on the holiday campaign. And I will pass it over to my dear colleague, Jim, who will talk to you about AIM.
Thanks, Isaac. And again, good morning. I am Jim Atkinson, Director of Programs and Services here at ArtPride. So first, thank you to all that sent kind congratulations notes to the chat. I really appreciate it. Kind of hard to believe, it's been 25 years, but that's what happens when you blink, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. We do have our next Jersey Arts Marketers webinar coming up. That'll be on September the 18th. And in that webinar, you can learn more about how to get featured on jerseyarts.com that Isaac just referenced, as well as some other opportunities that you have, as well as how to get featured in our ongoing Discover Jersey Arts digital marketing campaigns. So I highly suggest when we do these webinars to make sure that you or your marketing team tune in, because it's really the best way to stay fully up to date about what opportunities are available. At this webinar, though, we will also have our friends from Grapeseed Media doing an extension of what they covered in a digital marketing workshop that they did for us and that we hosted back at the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center in May. So if you were at that half-day workshop, this is an extension of that, not the same material. If you were not able to attend that workshop, that's okay too, because this will be new material available to you and your marketing team as well. That's going to be on leveraging patron data to drive sales. In addition, at that webinar, we'll be sharing some results from the You Gotta Be Here campaign that we launched back in the fall of 2024. We launched back last mid-September. And we'll also be sharing some statistical results from the newest version of jerseyarts.com, the new incarnation of that website, which launched back in August of 24. So just a little over a year ago. So that's what we'll be covering on September 18th. Again, you can see you can register at artpridenj.org/event. That's where you can always register for any ArtPride industry events, whether they're webinars, virtual meetings, or in person. So next slide. So yeah, so we also, this is the time of year where they start talking about the Audience Insights Manager. So for those who are not aware, this is a collector patron database tool that allows organizations to better understand their patrons. So go ahead, next slide. So how AIM works is groups that purchase a subscription are able to contribute their audience data into a centralized database with other organizations that are part of this program. This year, there are 47 organizations across New Jersey that are participating, and we have a collected patron database of roughly 2 million unique households of cultural consumers of New Jersey arts throughout the region. So that's a really impressive size database for sure. Once that database is in that centralized place, which is called data center, and we partner with our friends at TRG Arts to make this possible. That data is then normalized, and we're able to return back additional information on your patrons that you would not otherwise have access to. So this is new data on the patrons that you don't have. This includes demographic, psychographic, buying behaviors. There's crossover reporting, so you can see how your patrons interact with other organizations in New Jersey, as well as markets in New York, Philadelphia, and now Delaware, who all use the same system. So it's an incredibly powerful database of audience information. We are able to make this available at greatly reduced rates, thanks to funding from the New Jersey State Council on the Arts that underwrites this program. Subscriptions to AIM for ArtPride member organizations typically range from $150 to $500 per year, depending on your organizational budget size. So it is a very affordable way to get an extensive amount of information about your patrons. And once you have that, the question becomes, well, what does that do for me? Well, one, it allows you to identify potential donors from within your existing audience pool because you know more about them, right? You know income levels, you know presence of children in the household, things like that. So that data is garnered through other third-party databases we collect data from. And then you're also able to then provide accurate audience demographics to funders, either when you're filling out grant reports or when you're doing final reporting. You're able to give a more holistic picture of who your audiences really are. You can also market more effectively your programs to those patrons by customizing and making sure you're delivering the right message to the right patrons at the right time because you know more about them and you know more about their behaviors. If you choose to, there's an optional feature within AIM that allows you to do list trading within other organizations, again, not only in New Jersey, but also within the New York, Philadelphia, and Delaware markets. And if you do that, if you engage in that, again, that's totally optional, but if you choose to, in essence, you're using data-driven analytics to make those choices amongst who you're trying to target for new audience development. So again, this is a really powerful tool. We certainly encourage folks to use it. The next subscription window for AIM 2026 will open in November. So somehow that's only about 2 months away. So if you're thinking about doing it, we can go to the next slide again, please. We have our third and final AIM Virtual Summit. So we host 3 of these a year for the groups that participate in the program. It's an opportunity for them to come together in a Zoom meetings format. This is not a webinar, but a meetings format. So there's a little more interactivity. We have our friends from TRG who will be at that summit, and they're going to be doing and sharing updates on new tools within the data center platform, including some new AI tools that are being rolled out. So that's really exciting about how AI can help make some audience decisions for us. And then we'll also be doing some peer-led collaborative discussion amongst the users. So this is how folks who participate in AIM are able to brainstorm with each other, share use cases, and figure out how to get the most out of the subscription. And again, that AIM Summit is coming up on October 9th from 2 to 3. So just some exciting things that are coming up. Definitely wanted to share these with you. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back off to Adam. So thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. I just have a couple of reminders for folks. You've probably seen our emails about these, but we have 2 big things we want to make sure are on your radar. First off is ArtsPay NJ. The surveys are still open for ArtsPay NJ. This is crucial for everyone on this call and for everyone in the art sector in New Jersey to please participate in ArtsPay NJ. As a reminder, all of the data that we collect is totally anonymous. It's collected by a third-party researcher, the same one who did our survey the first time around. There are 2 surveys as a reminder. There is the individual arts worker survey, and we want everybody filling that out. Every person who works for an arts organization, every teaching artist, every artist that is working in any way, shape, or form in the state of New Jersey. Please share that around. People can click on the link. If it's not for them, the survey will self-select them out. There is also the organizational survey, and I'm going to say this because we have a number of executive directors and a number of leaders at different arts institutions across the state here on the phone call. The organizational survey is the survey that's filled out by one person at each nonprofit arts organization. And this is a survey. I did it for ArtPride New Jersey for our 7 full-time employees and 20 or so independent contractors. It took me about 15 or 20 minutes, with my audit and a couple of W-2s nearby. It's actually really simple to get through, and we have resources available. We can, answer questions, but we really need as many organizations as possible to fill out that organizational survey. College galleries and performing arts centers too. There's a place, thanks Diane, as well. There's a place for everyone, and again, self-selecting. So, send it out to your colleagues. They'll work their way through the survey. If it's not for them, the survey will tell them. We have extended that deadline to 2 weeks from today, September 19th. So we really encourage you to participate in that. Please, please, please participate in ArtsPay NJ. And then the next slide is registration is open for the Creating Change Summit for 2025, which is Wednesday, October 29th, as you see there, all day at the Count Basie Center for the Arts. There's a really incredible group of speakers that are available to really enjoy. There's going to be tons of folks there. The ticket options are reasonable for a full day event. For those working in the arts field, it's $100. There are rates for unaffiliated artists and for students as well. We would like to get as many people from all different areas and levels coming together for the Creating Change Network, the Creating Change Summit, which is a great event each year. Registration is open. You can find that on the lead for that event, New Jersey Theater Alliance, our partner, who's the leader. They're the leader, and we're the partner for all things Creating Change. But you can find that on their website and on ours as well. So we hope that you can be there. It's a great opportunity to connect in person and to learn and to work together. And I'm gonna sneak over here. Yep, I think that's it for us this morning, folks. 45 minutes on the nose. Thank you to everyone on the ArtPride team who was here and was speaking, and those that didn't join us this morning as well, Marcy and Tanisha. Thank you all for being here, and as is the case with everything we discussed. Oh, and thank you to Wendy as well, Wendy Liskow from Arts at NJ for being here. And as I said, everything discussed, Wendy included, we're available if you need us. Please reach out to us via email or phone, and we'll be happy to give you more information. Thanks for being here. Take care.